Hi, so let's get into it. Emotional abuse and constant criticism. Often, they go hand in hand, right? Because if you have emotional abuse, almost all the time, you're going to have that constant criticism in some way or another. Now, I'm not talking about criticism um, maybe you messed up on something and your partner or coworker says, hey, I think you could do better. Or, excuse me, maybe they just have a personal like or dislike for something and they're like, hey, can you not do this way? This really bothers me. And, that's legitimate. But that being said, when it starts to become a constant thing in your life to where you can barely do anything without this coming up, and along with like a lot of other stuff, just little things, and it's even not even said in a nice way, like somebody you love, if you're doing something that really bothers them, they'll be like, hey, can you not do that? Gee, come on. It's really said sometimes to the point to where you almost feel the person hates you. It's said with contempt, and it's meant to hurt you, and it's said in a way that will hurt you. I know one of the big things with my situation was, it was always this thing with the blinds, right? I didn't like the blinds closed after it got dark. It had to be before it got dark. And I didn't have a problem doing that. I was raised in the country. We didn't really close blinds, back then, or curtains or whatever when it got night, because we didn't really have neighbors. But it was a big thing to him. I didn't mind doing it. And I would do my best to get into a habit of always closing the blinds on time. But the problem was, if I did it 10 nights in a row, 20 nights in a row, 30 nights in a row, and I forgot one night, it wouldn't matter all the other times that I had done it. It was like the end of the world that it had happened. And instead of just being able to walk over there and close the blinds himself, if he had been home the same amount of time I had, he would criticize me for it. And if it was just that one thing, and he was doing it, he was maybe just a little frustrated, that would be one thing. But when you combine it with, you're not putting the dishes away correctly, you're not sweeping the floor correctly, don't put the toilet paper on the roll backwards, put it forward, don't park the car, 6 inches from the grass, park it an inch from the grass. I mean, just every single little thing. And a good example was, when I also mentioned the sweeping the floor, right? I was a stay-at-home mom. I did all of the housework, especially on the inside of the house, all the time for all the kids we had and myself and him. We didn't have a vacuum. He wouldn't pay for a vacuum. He said it was a waste of money, even though we had carpet and everything. And I would have to sweep the floor. I would sweep the floor, and it wouldn't be good enough. He had a specific way he wanted the floor swept, and it was to literally sweep in circles, literally circles, sweep everything up in a little pile, and then sweep it together. That was the first way that he came up with. And if I got caught sweeping in a different way, it would be literally the end of the world. I'm talking yelling and screaming for 3 or 4 hours, no problem. And then he decided that didn't work anymore. And he wanted me to sweep in one certain direction toward the wall. And that was because he felt I don't know if it was too hard to sweep under the edge of the cabinet, the backdrop of the cabinets, who knows. But if you didn't do it, again, it would break out into a huge, I say argument, but it wasn't really an argument. It was really me sitting there listening to him yell, scream, and complain for 3 or 4 hours. And it got to where it was just every single day, if he wasn't criticizing me, he was ignoring me, and I just couldn't do anything right. Nothing. If I made his dinner, it didn't have enough veggies on it. It wasn't on the table at the right time. I gave him too much of this or too much of that. And I'm talking, I would cook it. Unprocessed meals, actually put it on a plate and take it to him. So when you have somebody who's emotionally abusing you, it won't matter what you do, and you won't be able to do it really correctly for them at all, unless you're in front of people. Then sometimes they'll lighten up. Okay, watch for the next video.